I am here at the AI Summit London with Leon Gauhman, who is a co-founder and Chief Product and Strategy Officer at Elsewhen. Leon, how are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Great to see you. So you have come today from a speaker op at the event here at Tobacco Dock. So what was it that you guys were talking about today?
So it was a great panel. We spoke around the digital wallets and opportunity with digital wallets and AI and the future of payments. So kind of the convergence of the two.
Okay, brilliant. So this is obviously an AI summit. It's not a crypto summit or a finance summit or anything like that. So how does AI factor into the products that you're building at the moment?
So into the products we're building at the moment, AI factors in a increasingly central way. So Elsewhen is a digital consultancy, and we focus on productivity for corporate organizations. And we've been doing that utilizing digital technology and software for over a decade. So then machine learning came, and that became part of kind of the stack. And now increasingly we see generative AI, agentic AI being a way you can enable organizations to become more productive versions of themselves. So it's increasingly becomes a bigger and bigger topic that our customers want to engage in and are interested in. And actually, I've never seen business kind of stakeholders so interested in technology before. If you think about cloud or mobile, you kind of had to shove it down their throats, to be honest. You have people of all sorts of works around the corporate interested in how they can make their job more efficiently. And that starts from their engaging locally with little co-pilots who are just working with models. And what we're looking at is on a larger scale or organizational scale, how can you remove inefficient tasks and essentially give them to a digital employee or to an AI solution, and for the corporate own that as part of their IP and part of their strategy.
Okay, so you're kind of building an AI-powered framework around an organization, or is it literally replacing functions and processes within the organization itself?
The trajectory at the moment is looking at the particular process in a job or a combination of jobs, and then introducing an agent that can make that job disappear and do it 24/7, being up and down, available in terms of scalability with a click of a button. Next stage we're looking at is a multi-agent systems. So a combination of agents that take larger swath of process away. And we speak about this idea of the agentic enterprise. So, even further embedded digital workforce within the operational model of an organization that makes it 100x more productive, more efficient, and essentially, at the moment, we're looking at a lot of productivity metrics, how make things on the operational side cheaper. But there's a huge opportunity of doing both operational cost efficiencies and new revenue. And, that's where you see some amazing gains. But it's all very early days, but a lot of our clients are engaging with that and interested in that.
Yeah, interesting. So, presumably we're going to get to a stage in your industry and probably others where you're speeding up processes so much that actually the limiting factor becomes keeping the humans in the loop and having that kind of oversight in terms of the processes that the agents are conducting. How are you thinking about that? Is that a challenge you're coming up against?
So it's a classical question, are we getting rid of people or not? We're not. I think that as you've seen with any technological advancement since the agricultural revolution, these new tools allow us to be more productive. Humans historically have been producing more, not less, when they integrate technology into the processes. So I'm very much an optimist on that side of things. Also, our core principle, and I think if you yourself engaged and worked with a model, you notice it. The human in the loop is a core part of being successful in working with these technologies. So everything we design will have a human in the loop because human direction is indispensable. What we want to do is move away from, there's hundreds of thousands of people in some organizations that just click from one form to another form, a piece of data. They should be doing other things. And so that's kind of areas we're looking at. And I think human in the loop is a core part of how we kind of philosophically approach this.
And are you finding that particular roles are emerging as sort of AI supervisory roles, so like CAIOs and that kind of thing? Is it a nascent field that you'll find lots more humans moving into over the coming years, do you think?
I think there's going to be this idea of managing an AI team. I think when we talk about agentic enterprise, we see people managing, teams that part of those teams or whole teams are AI automations, and that allows them to be very, very productive, and that allows the organization to produce a lot more. And I think every walks of kind of white collar jobs, and with robotics potentially blue collar jobs as well, are going to be enhanced with these technologies. So at the moment, finally enough, a lot of traction happens in areas that resisted technology previously, and in a way they're a little bit of a green field to start working with AI. But data heavy, process heavy areas is what we're looking for. Also RPA, I don't know if that's robotic process automation, was kind of we call it artificial intelligence. So a piece of technology that carried the promise but never fulfilled it, was extensively implemented with some of our competition, like the big consultancies. Those areas that have not been successful with that technology, now you can actually tackle them. That's one of the areas we look at, for example.
Interesting. So talk to me then specifically about banking, digital wallets, payments. What are the specific challenges that you are thinking about and discussing at these events, particular to that area of business that you perhaps don't find sort of elsewhere?
So financial services is one of our sectors, and financial services is ripe for introducing AI agents. And I think there's, like with all the other sectors, the focus at the moment is on internal operations in when things are not exposed to the consumer. That's what we're focusing on at the moment. But if you think about the future of financial services, the idea of introducing a AI banker or a personal banker that is hyper personalized, is very interesting. If you bring to that kind of we spoke around the digital wallets, and if you bring it into that, this idea of crypto or a blockchain, which the top level idea is all the financial products are code. So you kind of, mix the two together, something very interesting is going to emerge. One of the things I was talking about in this panel is that at the moment, the market or the ecosystem has not crystallized kind of a wallet solution. If you think about somebody asking you 20 years ago, what's a digital wallet? You say, well, it's something you can pay with. It's on my mobile. You probably have 4 or 5 of those right now. So you have, and equally not really being used, Apple Wallet, PayPal, Coinbase, all of these have a little piece, but there's nothing that's really unified. And one of the suggestions I made is that what we're seeing is huge growth in ChatGPT. And ChatGPT essentially becoming kind of like the front line of the internet, maybe. As Google introduced its model on top of search results, we're defining what internet is and how we're engaging with the internet. So if we're going towards that direction and we imagine something that is so central in the usage of information, so the idea of agentic commerce and commerce happening through that platform is a fairly a natural one. You kind of that's the next thing to think about. And I don't know, a lot of people don't remember, but there's this WorldCoin startup that Sam Altman created, which a few years back I looked at and we're like, what is he talking about? But suddenly that also kind of clicks, this idea of identity and payments. So is that going to be the next kind of super app where you will see agentic commerce and digital coins and stable coins and all of that fusing together? Maybe.
Interesting. And in this, because it's a very compelling picture that you're kind of painting of the future, how much of that future is agents talking to other agents, kind of entirely separate from any kind of human intervention, and how much of it is mediated by human beings, do you think? Do you have a kind of mental model?
Percentage-wise, I don't know.
Well, just, just sort of
I think
putting it out
agent
there for
to
discussion,
agent
I
is
guess.
definitely something that is happening. And then even in what I describe kind of an agent moving into multi-agent system, you have several agents that are interacting. We, for example, suggest to our clients to build architectures that have this idea of a supervisor agent that supervises other agents. So it's very much baked into this whole technology. So for sure, there's going to be things that you can just outsource for an agent to do, and agents are going to be speaking to each other. At the moment, there's this technology called MCP, which simplifies how you can connect APIs to. I don't know if it's going to survive and continue, but at the moment, that's how we look at it. So again, going back to this idea of a digital wallet and a centralized place that manages your money, the way we manage money today is essentially set up as an organizational chart of a bank. It's not really customer-centered. If you switch that for a second and you think how I want to engage with my money, there's a lot of stuff that should just happen automatically. And for me to be able to save, spend, I don't want to know about the background, just have a trusted advisor that does that for me as an AI agent.
Mm. And I guess the concept, you mentioned MCP, obviously led by Anthropic. There's quite a lot of context here in the financial industry, right? There was the whole open banking revolution that happened, some years ago. Obviously, the blockchain changed everything really for many consumers. Like, where do you rank the kind of advent of agentic AI in that kind of timeline of revolutions that have happened in the finance world?
I think that a lot of these revolutions have not hit mainstream. Right. So if you think about the idea of a digital wallet, and I don't know if you ever used MetaMask, but that's okay. So MetaMask is like a wallet you use for the crypto ecosystem. A certain percentage of the population has used that for that particular case, but a lot of people don't. So I think there is now seems to be emerging a potential connection between a traditional financial system and the centralized financial system through the stablecoins. So that brings this idea of money as code closer to the forefront, and it is going to be adopted by big banks and by other countries. Then this is landing in people's pockets, and then it is a piece of code, so an agent can interact with it very naturally. In a way that is way, way more fluent than it does with payment systems that exist today. So I think it's potentially a natural projection, but at the moment we don't even have like this super app of finance. This is why I'm thinking maybe Open AI and ChatGPT are going to be that, or Google are going to be that, because this is the biggest kind of competitor in terms of customer base. So a lot of these ideas are still in the consumer area. I think are finding crystallization. I think in enterprise B2B space, where you're experimenting on yourself as an organization, there's a lot more easier ground to focus on at the moment.
Yeah. So it kind of sounds like perhaps the kind of the rise of AI that we're kind of experiencing now might be like the technology that unifies all of these different disparate prior technologies and kind of brings them into the consumer world.
Yeah, maybe. So in the same way as if you think about Google and search and websites as a way that we engage with essentially data and produce data, maybe that's going away. Maybe we'll have just MCP servers or APIs and agents talking to each other and surfacing the right information for us at the right time. That's one of the potential futures that we could see, that the whole fabric of the internet will change and the whole approach to that would change, and how we conduct commerce and how we produce and how we do things could potentially change. So yeah, I think we're at the cusp of it, of things maybe going in that direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we're already starting to talk about share of model rather than search engine optimization, right? And there's this idea that LLMs can return exactly the piece of information you need without ever having to go through all of this rigmarole of various different people's websites and reading all of this extraneous context that you, the searcher, don't need. Perhaps that principle might sort of play out in greater depth across across business and enterprise as well.
Yeah, so if I kind of play that idea across enterprise, we don't think that software as a service is how AI is going to be implemented.
Right.
So if you think about the last 10 years, you had these software tools that were sold into enterprise, really big ones that became kind of systems of register like Workday, Salesforce. There is no value in that UI piece on top of the database. You just need the data. I'll take the data. It's a question if they're going to continue holding that data or not. But I want that data. I want my sales data. I want my marketing data. I want to give it to an agent to do something different with it. So that's already moving into that direction of removing that, essentially a UI that allow you to manage a database entry, a crude database where you update, you change it, and I all need to do that manually. Now I want that data to be owned by a autonomous worker that is going to do what I want it to do to get to my goals faster.
Awesome. Well, look, is there anything that you're discussing at this year's event or anything that we haven't covered that you feel would be useful to sort of tell people about? Anything that you're working on that you want to get out there into the world?
I think we speak about this idea of 100x productivity, and I think we invite people to think about how they do their own work or how their organizations do work, and rethink that from this idea of a large language model that can offload some of your processes away from you so you can focus on the more important things. So that's really the message we're putting out there. We're trying to engage folks in enterprise that are interested in doing that sort of work, and that basically getting to those efficiencies.
Awesome. Well, look, Leon, thanks very much for joining me.
Thank you.
Great to meet you.
Thank you.